The forest was unnaturally silent that evening. A dry wind moved through the trees. And then, a roar. Not powerful, not dominant, but painful. A young man named Ion stopped in his tracks. He followed the sound carefully, pushing aside branches, and what he saw made his blood run cold. A massive lion was chained to a tree. A heavy iron chain was wrapped tightly around its neck. The metal had cut deep into his skin. Bloodstains covered his golden fur. The lion tried to move, but the chain snapped tight and dragged him back. He let out a weak roar of frustration. Ion's hands trembled. The lion noticed him. Only exhaustion, only pain. Slowly, Ion stepped back and grabbed his phone. He called the wildlife rescue emergency line. His voice was shaking. "There's a lion, chained. It's badly injured. Please come fast." Within minutes, the sound of rescue vehicles echoed through the forest. A truck stopped at a safe distance. 5 trained rescuers stepped out carefully. They saw the lion struggling. One of them whispered, "This is illegal captivity." The team leader raised a tranquilizer gun. They had to be precise. Too much could stop his heart. Too little wouldn't calm him. The lion roared weakly again, as if he knew something was about to change. The forest air felt heavy. Every second mattered. The team leader took a deep breath and pulled the trigger. The tranquilizer dart shot through the air and struck the lion's shoulder. The lion roared loudly. This time, it wasn't weak. It was furious. He pulled against the chain with all his strength. The metal scraped violently against the tree. The trunk shook. Dust rose into the air. The rescuers stepped back quickly. "Stay calm. Give it time," one of them shouted. The drug hadn't worked yet. The lion's breathing became heavier, his movements slower, but still dangerous. He tried one last time to break free. The chain cut deeper into his wounded neck. Blood trickled down his fur. Ion watched from behind the rescue truck, his heart racing. "Please, don't let him die," he whispered. 30 seconds felt like forever. The lion's legs began to weaken. His roars turned into deep growls. Then he stumbled. His massive body swayed. Check his pulse. Monitor his breathing. One rescuer carefully examined the wound around his neck. The chain had dug deep into his flesh. It would have killed him in a few days. They quickly brought heavy bolt cutters. The metal was thick and rusted. It took 2 men to cut through it. Clang, clang, clang. Finally, the chain snapped open. For the first time in days, the lion's neck was free. They gently lifted his head and placed soft padding under it. A stretcher was brought forward. It took all 5 men to carefully lift his massive body. He looked at the lion's face. The anger was gone. Now there was only peace. The truck doors closed, and the siren echoed as they rushed toward the wildlife hospital. The rescue truck sped toward the wildlife hospital on the outskirts of the city. Inside, the lion lay unconscious. His breathing was slow. Monitors beeped softly beside him. One rescuer held an oxygen mask near his mouth. "Stay with us. You're safe now," he whispered. They arrived at the Wildlife Emergency Center within minutes. He had never been this close to something so powerful and so helpless. Hours passed. Finally, the doors opened. "The surgery was successful," the doctor said, "but recovery will take time." Days turned into weeks. The lion slowly regained strength. People gathered outside the wildlife center, hoping to see him. They named him Sultan. But not everyone was happy. Authorities announced something unexpected. Due to safety concerns, Sultan would be temporarily relocated to a controlled holding facility near the city for observation. A secure enclosure was built on the city's edge. High walls, heavy gates, security teams on standby. When Sultan was transported there, crowds gathered. Phones recorded everything. As the truck door opened, Sultan stepped out, stronger now. Healthier, but confused. He looked around at buildings in the distance, the noise, the people, the flashing lights. Suddenly, he let out a powerful roar. Not of pain, not of weakness, but of dominance. The crowd stepped back in fear. Security forces tightened control. For a moment, tension filled the air. Then something happened. From behind the crowd, a familiar voice called softly, "It's okay. You're safe." Sultan turned his massive head. His eyes searched through the people and locked onto Ione, the same young man who had found him, the same one who had called for help. Sultan's breathing slowed. His muscles relaxed. The roaring stopped. The entire crowd watched in shock. The once wild, chained lion stood calm. Stood calm because he recognized the human who saved him. The infection had spread deeper than expected. He stopped eating. He became restless. Veterinarians ran urgent tests. The results were serious. He needs immediate surgery. The chief surgeon said, "It's risky." The news spread quickly. Crowds gathered again outside the facility. Media vans lined the streets. Everyone was waiting. Machines monitored his heartbeat. The anesthesia was carefully administered. Doctors began the delicate operation. Every movement had to be precise. One mistake could cost his life. Hours passed. Outside, the tension grew heavier. Ion stood silently near the entrance. His eyes were fixed on the hospital doors. He whispered, "You're strong." Then a steady heartbeat returned. The room went silent again. After a long, exhausting surgery, it was over. The lead surgeon stepped outside. The operation was successful. Relief spread across the crowd. But this time, something was different. The anger was gone. The fear was gone. He had survived. Weeks later, the decision was made. Sultan would be released into a protected wildlife reserve far from the city. The day of release arrived. The transport gate opened. Sunlight poured into the carrier. Sultan stepped out slowly. He paused, smelled the air. Freedom. Real freedom. But before walking into the wild, he turned his head. Standing at a safe distance was Ion. No crowd, no noise. Just silence. For a long moment, they looked at each other. The lion who had once been chained, the boy who refused to ignore his pain. Sultan gave one final, deep roar. Not of anger, not of dominance, but of strength. Then it turned and disappeared into the vast wilderness, this time free forever.